And we are live.
Hey guys, what's up? Mark Luckenbaugh and Matt Stack here from Local Client Takeover, and we have a very special guest, David, on with us. He is from selfmadebusinessman.com, has an awesome Ninja Outreach tool. It's NinjaOutreach.com. What is up, David? Thanks for being on with us.
Nah, man, thanks for having me. This is sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. So I found you kind of someone shared the Ninja Outreach tool. I think it might have been Frank Schwartz from the SEO show.
Yeah.
And there's Frank's plug. We should be getting paid for that. But I saw him share. He always shares really cool stuff. You know, he just really does. So I jumped over to it. Matt and I started looking at it, and we signed up. It was a beautiful interface. The user experience was great. Like the perfect match between like simple but like really nice looking and effective, you know. And it was cool, and you have like a really cool kind of like unique proposition on inside the tool where you have like the chat feature, and you can sign up to like chat with you, you know, via like a 30-minute consultation. And I was like, hey man, why not? You know, because I'm more of the local marketer guy. I'm just getting my feet wet with some of this content marketing and, you know, different stuff like that. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And we chatted, and, you know, cool guy. I said, man, you have a lot to offer the audience. Wanted to get you on, and here we are.
Yeah, man, I think that's a little bit about like what sets us apart. You know, we really try to give like great customer support, and when you're in the tool, like if something isn't working, you have a question, we have like a chat box in the bottom right. We use Intercom for that, which is a really great customer analytics tool. I'm not an affiliate, I just like their product. That, you know, basically functions as a chat. Plus we use So Helpful, again, non-affiliate. It's just a call scheduler that I use. And it's just a way for us to kind of really interact and engage with the customer, because we want to find out from them like what they're doing, like what they like about the tool, what they don't like about the tool, so we can make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. How long have you been in digital marketing?
I guess it would probably be, you know, the last 1 or 2 years, so to speak. It's kind of like you know, it's been a weird run where I wasn't a marketer by any real stretch of the imagination. I was just kind of a corporate finance guy. I quit my job in 2012 to go backpacking with my girlfriend, and we basically just dropped everything, went backpacking around Europe and Asia. We did that for 2 years. And that's when I started getting into kind of working online a little bit as just a way to pay the bills. And I started mostly in the travel blogging niche and was just kind of selling links. So I'd sell sponsored posts to travel agencies and clients. And that was kind of how we earned our living, so to speak. And then finally last year, that's when we got started with Ninja Outreach. So I've been kind of doing digital marketing now for like 2 years, but I've never been like an official member of like an agency, so to speak.
Okay, that's an awesome story, man. That's like the perfect like digital nomad like entry into the game. That's really cool. So I guess here's the big thing. You know, I'm mainly a local guy. We do like rank and rent. I have a ton of clients. But when it comes to, you know, doing the outreach for, I hate to even call it white hat marketing, but, you know, it's a more white hat approach to some of the stuff I use for local clients. You know, what would be you know, because typically when someone says outreach, you think of just like sending someone an email, hey, can I guest post, or hey, can we, and it's just, I'm learning more and more that's not the answer. I mean, you can do that, but there's some really creative ways to get people's attention, and if you don't mind, maybe share a creative way or two that you've used to get really high quality guest posts, or a really cool opportunity that you probably wouldn't have been able to get if you didn't have some type of creative proposition or outreach tactic.
Yeah, so I guess first of all, when it comes to outreach, you know, outreach is such a general word, right? So like, what are we talking about? You know, the different types of outreach campaigns you see quite often are something like doing a guest post, or doing a product review, or link building, so getting, you know, links on resource pages, broken link building, things like that. Obviously promoting your content, trying to get social shares, like all these different things kind of fall under the campaign of outreach. And fundamentally, they kind of revolve around the same processes. So like, I've got a prospect, find people that are relevant, write them a good pitch, and then basically see if they'd be interested in kind of fulfilling the outreach goal here. So a guest post or a product review or something like that. So all that stuff kind of works across the board. That said, and so that's like standard outreach, and that can work just fine. When you talk about like, well, have you had any really great success or something kind of out of the ordinary? A lot of that comes from like really, I guess, honestly paying attention and finding a real timely opportunity to do the outreach. Because the thing about outreach is it works when somebody's in the mindset of kind of like, oh man, I was just looking for this solution, and then here you are. Like when we do direct outreach for an influencer marketing software, I get guys who said, man, just last week we were talking about starting to do influencer marketing, and here you are sending me a software. Those people always turn into great leads, and they're interested. I just had a meeting with 2 guys who I direct emailed out of the blue last week, and they're like, yeah, we were just thinking about starting doing something like this, and then here you were. You read our mind. Other people, they're not in the mindset like at all, and basically, when you just totally bounce right off that. So, for example, like a recent thing that happened, to us is I saw recently that Noah Kagan was launching a course called Traffic 1M. It's all about like a course on generating traffic. And I was looking, it was like top voted on Product Hunt. It's already got over 9,000 shares. I could see that like this was going to get a lot of traction and things like that. So immediately I kind of jumped on that, and I was like, I would love to be. They had 16 people who they were featuring as kind of like industry experts for blogging, like different things, right? So like Brian from Video Fruits doing email, you got Brian Dean on link building, you got all those different guys, and I was just thinking like, this is really timely. They're just getting going right now. Let me send these guys a pitch and see if they'd be interested in featuring me in Ninja Outreach as kind of like the blogger outreach influencer marketing guy as part of their course. I sent them that email. And the guys, they got back to me right away. They were interested. They had seen some other stuff I had done, like other guest posts I had written. And kind of long story short, I'm now number 17, on that list, basically, and providing kind of the influencer marketing stuff. And Ninja Outreach is going to be kind of a sponsored tool in their toolkit. So there wasn't necessarily anything fancy about that outreach. It's more just kind of like paying attention and seeing something like right at the moment that it would be useful to kind of hit them with outreach, and it comes across very natural, right? It doesn't look like cold outreach. So that's an idea, I guess.
Where are you finding this? Like, if these people are looking for this thing, where are you finding these people talking about it?
So, for example, I guess one thing is just kind of looking at different communities. So, for example, that one I came across on Product Hunt. So I was looking at some of the different ones that were upvoted, and I could have used this could be relevant for example, like a product that maybe I thought would benefit from blogger outreach, and you can kind of say, hey, look, I just saw you guys at the top of Product Hunt. Would you be interested in talking about this? And they're kind of in that mindset. They're in that mindset that they're going to be expecting emails from being featured on Product Hunt. They start to pay attention to that sort of outreach, and then it's cool because they know that that's how you found them. And there's other communities too, like Growth Hackers and Inbound and other things that you could look at as well. And the other thing is maybe if you're targeting somebody very specific, so like, for example, if I really want to work with Pat Flynn or I really want to work with Neil Patel, I start to look maybe if these guys are doing a case study. So for example, when Pat Flynn is doing his foodtrucker.com, case study, or Neil Patel is now doing a case study in the nutrition niche where he's trying to get from like a blog that makes $100,000 a month or something. So now all of a sudden, if I can come up with some sort of relevant value proposition to a case study that they're just starting, again, they're like in the mindset. They're looking for ways to focus. That's what they're thinking about. They only want to hear offers that are related to that thing that they're working on right now. That's their number one priority. So it's just kind of like following the guys and just looking for the opportunities to come in at an opportune time.
Yeah, right place, right time. Right
That's
person.
it. That's all about outreach. Outreach is all about right place, right time.
No, that's great. That's really great advice, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, what would you say? We talked a little bit about just generating leads. Now, I know from someone who doesn't do a lot of this type of stuff, we can still see the value of getting a good backlink, or getting a ton of targeted traffic, or just increasing your brand awareness. Having your brand on different different authoritative sites or other people in your industries. How have you found that equates to leads? You get a lot of leads from doing different type of outreach, or is it more you get the traffic and you have to kind of, what does that look like?
It's really like a mix of both. So, for example, like the primary way that Ninja Outreach as a business gets leads is that we have traffic that comes to our website and then they convert by kind of signing up for a trial. And they're like the vast majority of people that really sign up to try out the tool, like it's a very no touch. Like I don't really know who they are, and I had no interaction with them, at least no direct personal interaction with them, and that's kind of how they sign up. That said, like we do a lot of calls with people. And, like we had that call yesterday, Mark, and I had a bunch of calls today, and I always try to ask people kind of where did they found us, right? So you saw us mentioned on Frank Schwartz. Now, I personally have not outreached to Frank, but maybe he got us from someone we did outreach to. And, a lot of the guys, a lot of the sources, where people reference, like, this is where I found you, it's I appeared on a podcast or I wrote a guest post somewhere. So recently, like, I wrote a guest post on unbounce.com all about lead generation, and a lot of people have referenced that just recently because that went live in the last week and said, man, I really like that post, I'm interested in the tool. Or and also just a couple of podcasts that I was on recently. I was on Entrepreneur on Fire, and I was on a couple of other ones. People come in and say, oh man, I saw you on that podcast, I'm really interested in checking out what you're doing. And so all those different types of things, I think it's the outreach is about kind of the exposure, and then that's what leads to the eventual leads. Like I didn't necessarily outreach directly to any of those guys. I just outreached to sort of a focal point where their audience was, and then you get the exposure, then they come.
Right, makes perfect sense. That's solid. So I mean, you have this tool. I could not to jump off track too much, but I love that thing. So basically, when people go inside the tool, and I don't even want to give a big explanation. I want to leave that to you because I'm a new user. I'm not going to do it any justice. But from what I found, you go in, you can search different keywords that pertain. Like for instance, I just made that schema article, and so I wanted to see what other articles on schema were doing the best in the industry as far as what platforms they were on, what platforms they were published on, and then like what type of social interactions those posts got. And it was a really intuitive platform, man. So just if you want to take just a couple minutes to talk more about it, I loved it. I could sort all of the results by like social shares, a bunch of other metrics. It was really cool. I think it's going to be an invaluable tool, but the full capabilities. So if you just want to take a couple minutes and kind of just self-plug away, man. The tool's awesome. Just talk more about the capabilities if you want.
Yeah, sure. So basically, the main kind of functionality of the tool is, number one, we created like a database of bloggers and websites that you can search through via keyword. So we have two different types of searches. One is content prospecting, which is what you were just talking about. The other is social prospecting. And the content prospecting is about kind of like what articles have been written, what's the content on the website, and other articles about schema or websites about that. Or maybe you could go a bit broader in the niche and say, other people that are writing about, on optimization, on-site optimization techniques, that sort of a thing. And basically find, so how does it differ from Google, basically, is probably what you're wondering. And what we do is we kind of bring in a bunch of metrics to kind of make it more like a marketer search engine. So if you're a marketer, you don't want to just get the link to the article. You want the person's name, contact information, social shares, SEO metrics, traffic engagement, basically metrics that are going to kind of inform the decision you're making to want to outreach to this person. Because as a marketer, you're generally trying to kind of 80-20 everything you do. And if you can focus on the high quality links and authoritative sites, that's going to save you a lot of time. So we try to kind of bring that in, make it sortable, make it filterable. You want to see only the results we have an email address for. You go into the filter, you click that. You want to set a minimum domain authority of 30, you can do that. Just kind of try to keep it real intuitive, because a lot of the other tools in our space we found they're just kind of really cumbersome and kind of clunky. So that's kind of the way that prospecting works. The other half of the prospecting is more the social side. So aside from like the website and the content, it's about like their Twitter bio and their Instagram bio. So we work with the APIs and those social platforms, and we pull profiles. So if you want to find somebody who says, I'm the owner of a marketing agency, because you're doing lead gen to marketing owners, you can do that, and find the actual person who's doing that. So that's kind of where the prospecting comes in. And then beyond that, it becomes more of like a CRM and an outreach tool. So CRM is like customer relationship management tool, where you're basically organizing all your prospects in the list. You're, organizing them by maybe relationship stage. So have you reached out to them? Have they agreed to anything? Have they published anything? Kind of where are you at in the relationship life cycle of the lead or the prospect? And then, of course, outreach, which is actually sending them an email. And we have templates and custom fields and stuff like that. So basically, we try to make it the whole thing from start to finish, where you find people, you organize them, you reach out to them, and you kind of run your whole campaign around that. And then for each different type of campaign that you might be running, whether it's link building or content marketing, or you're doing an expert roundup or trying to get featured on an interview or podcast, we have separate tutorials in the knowledge base where we kind of walk through, in our opinion, where like the best practices for how you go about doing that, screenshots, videos, templates, etc., just to get you kind of up and running, because it is really like a general marketing tool, and we have people who are coming from all different types of things, not just like you and I, like digital marketers, but we have, startups and e-commerce sites and all these different people trying to do these different things, so we try to make it useful for everyone.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even get a chance to check those out yet. I need to dig into those. Just taking something you said, for anyone, I know at first you said, hey, how does it differ from like a typical traditional search engine? And I can just jump in there and say, like, to get all that data through traditional search engines, I mean, it would take hours of someone's time, just hours and hours, where you can just type a keyword in and do a search from your guys' platform. I mean, it's
that's the main value proposition, really. We're trying to save you hours of time, and we try to price the tool pretty reasonably. Right now, the lowest price is $19 a month. Now, that might go up a little bit. It's still going to be pretty affordable, though. But like, if you're saving literally an hour a month, and I think that's kind of the minimum that you should be saving if you're doing it properly, you should be able to make your money back, I would hope. So that's kind of how the philosophy works for the tool.
Yeah, it's great. I can't wait to play more with it. Typically I guess I was talking with Ryan Stewart. He's pretty much like the only other big white hat content guy I know. I'm just typically in the local realm for so long. But he said, hey, you are kind of a content mark. You guys make tons of training videos and all this stuff. But it was never it was an inbound thing, and it got shared just because it was cool. It wasn't something we did. We had a lot of strategy with outreach and stuff, so that part of it's new, and your tool's just going to simplify so many steps of that journey for us. So, just something. I don't want to keep you all day. I mean, this is definitely good stuff. But what would you say? And I mean, you gave me some good advice. It was more just a confidence boost when we chatted about the outreach and whatnot. But if there was just a few small tips you would give someone who were like, well, I see the value in getting out there. I see the value in being able to, interact with other people in my industry and get them, get guest posts on their shit or get roundups with them and all that stuff. People see the value, but they didn't quite take that step yet, or they're apprehensive about certain things. What's a few tips you would give someone, to kind of maybe not even just boost their confidence, but just a few simple strategies to get their feet wet? Anything like that you could share. My audience would probably love.
Yeah. So first of all, like when it comes to outreach and things like that, and again, we're assuming maybe that you're trying to get a guest post or appear on a podcast or do some sort of basic brand building, kind of get yourself out there a little bit. The first thing to really is typical, I think, from where we're sitting, to think that nobody's maybe interested in what we're doing except for us, right? And that these guys are busy and that sort of thing. And at the top of the food chain, that may be true to some extent. However, even just a little bit lower down, you've got guys who are. I talk to podcasters all the time, and they're interested in using the tool to find guests. Like they're doing almost like what you think of as reverse outreach, where they're trying to find people to kind of fill slots. So when it comes to things like guest posting or product reviews or appearing on a podcast or something like that, those people are looking for people like you and us to kind of appear. So if you get that in, if you kind of have that mindset, I feel like you should go with confidence that says, yeah, like I can add value to this person, and essentially, you know, they need me as much as I need them, I guess is one way to kind of put it. And really, you need to kind of just kind of get going. And outreach, you know, or at least I think it really builds, right? Because you know your brand, or so to speak, it just kind of builds on each other. So when I mentioned, for example, that I approached the guys from Traffic, you know, 1M or whatever, from the AppSumo guys, Noah Kagan or whatever, and I said, look, I'd like to be a featured, you know, writer as part of this course. You know, the guy who kind of took my email said, hey man, I've seen your stuff and I know it's good. And he had seen me on some of the other things I'd posted on, like Loose Blog Traffic and stuff like that. And you know, I have not really been like in the industry for that long, so to speak, like a year. You know, that's not really that long, you know, when you think about it, to be able to go and kind of land, you know, a heavily kind of a trafficked, you know, source that could get us like a lot of great exposure. So really, you know, I started really as frankly from nothing, at least in terms of reputation in this industry. I mean, I did travel blogging before. I even moved into kind of more internet marketing stuff. And just in the last year or so, I've just kind of been building up a little bit of credibility and reputation by doing guest posting, making them quality, talking with people, getting referrals, stuff like that. And it just kind of builds. You can then start to kind of land more and more kind of coveted slots because people start to kind of know who you are. So, you know, really just kind of get going. I think get going by making some connections, you know, in your niche, in your industry, and start maybe a little bit smaller. It's typical for people to want to go right after the one guy that everybody knows, and frankly, that guy is getting 1,000 emails a day and just can't really handle that. But start with some other guys and just prove that, you know, you're an authority on your subject. You can write good content and things like that. And eventually, you start citing those in your outreach emails. So whenever I email somebody, I go, oh, and you know, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, like, you can see an article that I wrote here or that we were featured here, and you're kind of building social proof in your outreach. So people talk about social proof as a concept, like you go to a homepage and it's got 10,000 shares, and you're going to share it too because you feel like everybody's doing it. It's the same type of thing where when you do outreach and you reference, you know, other credible sources where you've been featured, it starts to kind of help people go, well, this guy must have vouched for him, so maybe I can too. And it just kind of builds, you know, and it gets bigger and bigger. So get started.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really good stuff.
So I shouldn't outreach President Barack Obama, is what you're saying.
I mean, you know, I mean, stranger things have happened. Who knows? But yeah, it probably would be my recommendation.
Really
maybe, yeah, maybe start with like John Kerry or something.
That's awesome, man. So, listen, I really appreciate you coming on today, man. You dropped some gold nuggets, that's for sure. Everyone, check out Dave, his personal blog, selfmadebusinessman.com. Really awesome outreach tool, NinjaOutreach.com. I'll probably eventually, like I said, do something more for the group while I'm using it. I love to kind of case study different stuff I do or share stuff I do.
Yeah, I'd love to case study with that tool.
Yeah,
it's really awesome. The user interface is beautiful, and it's just awesome stuff. So everyone, check Dave out. Thanks a lot for coming on our show, man. Sharing your knowledge. It was a good time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are out.